Hi class, this is Grace Zamudio, and I will be going over my math center and the activities that I chose to be in my math center. So I focused my lesson on shapes, and it is directed for a kindergarten class. So these activities can take about 30 to 40 minutes depending on the pace of the students as well as if modifications need to be made. So just a little introduction into how we are going to incorporate this into a classroom. The teacher or myself will be have the students scan the area. So for example, I will have everybody stand up. I will have the kids just look around the area, and then I will call out shapes. So for example, I will say, find something that is shaped like a circle. Some examples of that can be the clock, a circle table. Maybe on the behavioral charts there are happy face stickers. Or I can call out triangle or square or, you know, any different type of shape. So I think that that's a great introduction kind of to see what the kids know if they can just potentially identify these shapes based on things that we see in the classroom. So those are some of the standards that apply to my introduction into these activities. So the first activity that we will have in that area will be Play-Doh. I will have a dice that has numbers 1 through 4 on it. And I will, this you will see later on when I take a video of my area. And the students not necessarily need to go in the order. The numbers are 1 through 4. So when they roll the cube, then they get to see what area they go into first. So it doesn't necessarily need to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will have them choose what order they want to go to based on where their cube stops. So I think Play-Doh is a great and interactive way. It works on their fine motor skills as well as they're learning Play-Doh in a fun, interactive way. If there needs to be some modifications, I will also include some Play-Doh shapes. Sometimes we do have students that have tactile difficulties. So I think if someone helps them put the Play-Doh down, they can just squish the shape and then they can see that they are making shapes themselves. So that's a quick and easy modification. And also, all of my mats are laminated, so they are easy to be cleaned. They're reusable, and it can go from one student to another instead of just using up paper. So activity number 2 is going to be counting shapes. So the worksheet has the students identify how many sides come into a shape. For example, a square has 4 sides. The students they could either use the visuals that I have, which are the actual shapes, or they can just count them straight from the worksheet. And then they have a dry erase marker with them. So they are just able, same thing, laminated sheets, write the number 4, and then just let us know how many are there. And then for this modification, the students can just count the sides out loud, just showing us that they understand how many sides are into a shape. And they're also welcome to use the shapes as a hands-on approach. For activity number 3, we're going to do basic shapes, how many. So students will count how many shapes are in the designated area. I created this worksheet so it can range anything from 3 shapes, 2 shapes, and so forth. And so this helps them work on their counting skills. They're also able to identify the shapes. And then they're going to use the cubes that are also there to demonstrate 7 shapes, 7 cubes. So the repetitiveness of these activities will help them retain the information. So those are just some of the standards that we work on through this activity. If we do need to modify, we can also use other things the student likes. For example, if a student is a big fan of cars, they're welcome to use cars to identify how many shapes were in the worksheet. 3 shapes, 3 cars, just to be able to demonstrate their understanding. For activity number 4, there will be tracing and drawing. So this worksheet is a little bit more complex. It requires the students to trace, then to draw it independently, and then in the designated areas to follow directions. So whether it says draw something that has a heart, then they are able to, come up with something and show their creativity in that sense. This worksheet might be a little bit difficult for some students that need a modification. So if anything, cut the sheet down have them do just the tracing. Or there are also some great worksheets like the one that is in this picture that has simple shapes, and they are welcome to start with that. You know, they don't necessarily need to do 10 shapes. They can do 1 or 2 at a time. And so that was activity number 4. So I hope you guys enjoyed my activities. Thanks.